over for the Florida Gators.
Welcome to Gators Madness. We are here in our studio in Weimer Hall at the College of Journalism and Communications. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and joining me are my lovely pair of analysts, Michael Tubbs and Caroline King. Guys, we are nearing the end of March Madness, and we've had lots of up and downs with our brackets, especially this past Sunday when the Gators' March Madness run fell short. But before we dive into it, I just want to know, how has your guys' March Madness been? Caroline?
You know, it's been going great. March is actually the best time of the entire year, and my bracket isn't doing too bad. I'm actually beating Tubbs right now in our INC bracket group, but that probably won't last long because of the Gators' loss. But you know what? I'm basking this moment while I can.
Listen, March Madness is the best postseason in any sport in America. And listen, Cinderellas might be going extinct, but the Blue Bloods have been struggling. Kentucky, Kansas, UCLA, and North Carolina all out of the tournament. It is a new era of college basketball.
I completely agree with you guys, but it's definitely been tough with lots of upsets, including the Gators. So what exactly went down on Sunday? There was a final score of 73-72, Iowa moving on. But comparing the stats of this game, there's a clear pattern that both teams statistically were not that different. I mean, you can just look here. Florida has 11 turnovers. Iowa had 9, even three-pointers. Florida shot 31.6% compared to Iowa's 29.2%. There aren't many noticeable gaps here between the two, so what exactly went wrong for Florida? Tubbs?
Yeah, I mean, you see it there in the numbers. There's a reason it was a one-possession game, but at the end of the day, this is poor passing and turnovers led to Iowa getting an early lead, and at the end of the day, it turned into the identity of this team of not being able to get over being down early. You know, they were 0-6 in games where the opposing team had the largest lead of the game. They just couldn't break through, and although Duke, UConn, Arizona to start the year, it was like, oh, this team's being, you know, they're close games to start at, but so they're fighting, but in reality, it was just the identity that they couldn't break through, and it sounds like, oh, well, this team, of course, they're going to be able to come over. You're not going to be able to come over those leads because, you know, it doesn't happen when you don't have the biggest lead of the game. TCU and Arizona both had lesser of a lead than Florida. They came back and won those games. It turned in the identity of this team.
No, you're exactly right, Tubbs. And we see here, taste of your own medicine. The Gators had one of the best rebounding margins in D1. They were ranked first with 14. Against Iowa, they had 0 points in the paint. They averaged 44.2. Against Iowa, it was 30. And that's what I'm going to focus on. Taste of your own medicine. Like I said, that is a perfect way to put it. Iowa made Florida their pawn, and they were able to make sure that Florida played that slow game. And then what's so interesting is we see here, Florida led the nation with 45 rebounds per game. Iowa ranked 357th with 28. This game, they had the same 27 and 27. So what's frustrating is Iowa didn't beat Florida at their weaknesses, turnovers, and three-point shooting. They beat them at their strengths, and that's what's so difficult to see about this game.
Well, also, the rebound margin was not as large as it should be, Caroline, because there was one person who was missing, and truly the missing puzzle piece, Ruben Chinyu-Liu. On Sunday, he had 0 points and 1 rebound, and as a top offensive rebounder in the country, that's just not like him. And then he had 4 fouls that caused him to exit the game early. I think his presence was just missed on the court, even down to that last wire in those final seconds. So, Michael, Caroline, could you just break down to me what happened in those final plays for Florida?
Yeah, Haley, thank you so much. We're here at the Gator Wall to break down the final 9 seconds that were disastrous for Florida. Let's get the clips rolling of the first full court press. Stop it right here. We heard after the game that Todd Golden wanted to get a foul. It's a 2-point game here. He wanted to get a foul, send them to the line. He wanted the last shot of the game. So he went into a full court man-to-man press. Now the way press works is very simple. Stay in front of your man. Don't let the ball get to half court, cause a turnover, right? We're going to play the film here. Boogie Fland simply cannot keep up. Sturtz comes around the corner, doesn't even really get the screen, and just a wide open pass. Stop it right here, right? So you found Boogie fell behind and wasn't able to stay in front. Sturtz completely getting behind the press. At this point, it's dead. You have to get back on defense. It's over because he's going to reach half court. Caroline, what is this, a quarter, a third of the court? There's just no one in the way. This has instantly become a 2-on-3, 3-on-2 drill. It's a very common basketball drill, but you're outnumbered at this point, Iowa to Florida. Keep the play going here. Thomas Houck, who's going to come into frame, is going to be in a very bad spot where he has to come get the ball. Stop it right here. He had to play up on Sturtz to stop it at the three-point line. You can't just let him drive to the rim for an open shot, which means you have 2 guys in the corner. Alex Condon has to pick one. This is the distance you have to close. And Fulguera is now going to get a potential wide open three, but you have to contest the shot. Keep the play going. You're going to see this is all in a matter of seconds, right? Alex Condon has to get there, stop the play again. What is happening here, Caroline? What do you see?
Their hands. There's no one closing out. Their hands are straight down.
All right, keep the play going. We're going to zoom in on this angle right here because stop it again. Alex Condon went from under the basket to close out this shot, but he didn't finish the closeout. You have to put a hand in your man's face. This is still an open three. Boogie trails, but I don't know. He doesn't want to foul. He ends up just being there. Guys, this might intimidate a middle schooler or a high schooler who's not prepared to play at this level, but when you're playing at the Division I college basketball level in the NCAA tournament, this is still the equivalent of an open three-point shot. Keep it rolling, and for that, Alex Condon goes to get a potential rebound after the shot, but it's not going to matter if you make the shot. And it's over. I want to keep this going. We're going to see it in live speed. Remember, under 5 seconds, this breaks down as quickly as just a quick loop around from Sturtz, brings the ball up, their main point ball handler, open three after they try to trail, it just doesn't work. Caroline, and somehow this, I don't know if this is the worst execution in the final few seconds of the game.
You're exactly right, Tubbs. Somehow, the last 4.5 seconds went even worse for the Gators. And what we were talking about during that last timeout that Todd Golden had, all of us, we were at the edge of our seats. Talk about this in our Monday production meeting. Who was going to be the player that Todd Golden put the ball in the hands of? So I brought today the last offensive play. Go ahead, we're going to roll the clip. And we're going to see who that player was. Alex Condon passes the ball into Xavier Lee. He brings it to half court. Go ahead, stop the clip here. Some important things to notice. First, our time is down here, 3 seconds. Up here, Xavier Lee has the ball on the right side of the court. He has 2 defenders on him. First, Cooper Koch, nowhere to be found. We don't even have to worry about him. And so, Kel Combs is on Xavier Lee. He plays him well here. Down here is what the play kind of was going to look like. Thomas Houck was at the corner. Urban Klafschar up here. Thomas Houck comes and sets a screen on Bennett Sturtz. Urban Klafschar cuts the corner just in case maybe Xavier Lee goes in for that drive. He has an option to pass it out to Urban Klafschar, that corner three. And then Thomas Houck, I have an arrow here because he rolls on the screen, comes down to the corner, or comes down into the paint. And then Fulgueras, he is there for Iowa, ready for that drive. Go ahead, roll the clip again. We're going to see that Xavier Lee brings the ball into the paint, and then we're going to stop here again. Okay. Well, 1.2 seconds left. Boogie Flan up there at the top, kind of nowhere to be found. What's important to notice here, look at this, Tubbs.
Caroline, I don't understand. This is a play that the Gators have run what feels like hundreds of times throughout the season of just having a guard drive and dump it off to a big. But Thomas Houck, instead of being on the open block down here, I don't get why he's in the middle of the paint here.
No, you're exactly right, Tubbs. His momentum was going to his right if he was just a little bit more to his left. And then Xavier Lee passed the ball to him. Maybe he could have got that shot up. The easiest layup that Thomas Houck could have had in his career. So go ahead, roll the clip again. We'll see that Xavier Lee passes it a little bit to his left. Then 0.6 seconds. We have no idea if Thomas Houck was able to get that ball, if he'd be able to put it up in time. Go ahead and roll the clip again. We're going to see that Thomas Houck fumbles the ball and hits the ground. Time expires. The agony of defeat. I brought another view for you all. Again, Xavier Lee brings the ball in. We're going to stop here again. Again, on the left side. Look here. The paint, the block is wide open. If he just would have moved over a little bit, be able to get that. Again, we still don't know, 0.8 seconds, if he would have been able to get it off. Go ahead, roll the clip again. We're going to see that Xavier Lee misses it, or Thomas Houck fumbles it, hits the ground. I brought one more view of this last shot. He brings the ball down. Okay, we see here, great defense by these Iowa defenders. Then go ahead, roll the clip again. We're going to see that Xavier Lee misses the pass to Thomas Houck again. Also, they talked about out of sync during this game. That is the exact view of what it was like out of sync. So go ahead, roll the clip again. We're going to see for the third time, he's moving his momentum to the right. Xavier Lee passes it to his left. The agony of defeat. And now I just brought you through that last offensive possession. And now we're going to hear from Xavier Lee himself about what he was thinking going through that last session.
I don't know. I felt he stepped up. Maybe I could have shot a floater, a pull-up or something, but I was going pretty fast, and I thought I had Tommy for the duck-in, but I don't know.
Clearly an emotional response from Xavier Lee there in the final plays, but I just want to go back really quick and find where did this madness start for Florida. If you take a look at this full screen here in postseason play, through the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament for the Gators, they averaged 12.5 turnovers and 14.3 if you exclude Prairie View and A&M as the outlier. So did things start to shift in postseason play, or would you say that there were several factors leading up to that tough stretch, Tubbs?
No, I think this is a very simple situation, guys, that heading into the second half of the final game of the regular season at Rupp Arena, this team just seemed out of sync. They just didn't seem like they had the same drive, and it reverted almost to the same things that happened in out-of-conference play. Before, they were the cleaned, beating teams in the paint, playing well across the board, one of the top teams in the country. It just fell apart, and they went back to that form to close out the year.
No, you're exactly right, Tubbs. And something that they've been so good at is that points in the paint. I really want to focus on that. During this last kind of slump, the game against Kentucky, the game against Kentucky in the SEC tournament, and Vandy in the round of 32 against Iowa, they averaged +3 margin points in the paint. During their 10-game winning streak, 17.5 points in the paint. That was their margin. So we just saw them go in a slump, not do that typical characteristic Florida basketball.
Well, thank you guys so much for your analysis. We are about to take a quick break, but don't you worry. When we get back, we're going to break down a surprising pattern in NCAA tournament history and the future of a pivotal leader for Florida. Gators Madness. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Gators Madness. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and alongside me are Michael Tubbs and Caroline King. There has been a gloom over Gainesville this week. I mean, with fans and students, their dreams and hopes of seeing a back-to-back natty just did not happen. Our very own Jellianis Ramos broke down how Iowa sent the Gators home in the second round.
Here, a year ago, began their journey for the Florida Gators men's basketball team to go back-to-back, something they haven't been able to do since '07.
Showers of confetti, cheers of Gator fans, and a national title. That's how the season ended for Florida last year. This season, new beginnings, same goal, national championship. With new faces in the backcourt and a returning frontcourt, the Gators set out on a season defined by consistency and growth, chasing regular season milestones and rewriting the program's record book night after night. Through the first 9 games of the season, the defending champions were 5-4, losing to Arizona, TCU, Duke, and UConn, all single-digit losses. Many fans and media called the team an imposter, yet their trust in themselves remained high.
I'm a pretty positive guy. We're close, man. We're right there, and I think if we can get 5% better here over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be pretty good in SEC play.
The Gators finished non-conference play 9-4 with SEC play right on deck, and league play had its own challenges for this Gators team, going 5-2 in their first 7 games. But even amongst the adversity, as the song says, the team would not back down.
It's a long season. There's, ups and downs, and we've been through a lot of those already this season.
Rallying behind the Rowdy Reptiles and their tight-knit group, the Gators finished the season on an 11-game winning streak, claiming a regular season SEC title, something they had not done since 2014.
We knew who we were as a team, though, from the beginning. But, obviously the media, everybody like that saying, Florida, they're not going back. They're not doing anything this year. But, we just stuck to it. It's a credit to the coaching staff, too, for keeping us together, and then the players for going out there and executing it now.
The postseason began, and the madness of March got to the Gators. It started with an early exit in the SEC tournament in the semifinals against Vanderbilt. And after obtaining the last #1 seed in the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years, for the first time in program history, the results were not what they expected. The season came to a surprise end with a loss in the round of 32 against #9 seed Iowa, 73-72.
Really want to show love to all the fans and people who spent time investing in the Gators basketball this year. It's a special community we have, and we're going to remember this one for a while.
Even though the Florida Gators failed to bring home another national championship, they were able to accomplish a lot of milestones this regular season. For Gators Madness, Jellianis Ramos.
Thank you, Jelly. Ironically enough, that the Gators falling in the second round, having after won a national championship, is not that surprising. There is a pattern in the NCAA tournament of team season finishes following a national season. Take a look at this. 2018, UNC fell in the second round following a 2017 Natty. 2022 Baylor did the same following 2023, even UConn in 2025 despite going back-to-back. So yet, fans still feel that the Gators season should be considered a failure. Do you agree with that, or do you think that there has been this narrative around being a failure because of the fact that we won the national championship? Caroline?
Now, Tubbs and Haley, I might be a little bit optimistic about this, but I really think all the accolades that the Gators had this season really make it a successful season. I mean, we see here all these things. They won the SEC regular season title for the first time since 2014. And a thing I want to point out on here is that last stat there, 14 straight wins against ranked conference opponents. That is the most since the AP poll was introduced, and the last streaks were NC State in 1972 and UCLA in 1963. So many things this season. Also be able to transform the identity of this team from a backcourt heavy team from last year to now a front court heavy team this year. It really shows a lot about what the Gators were able to do. Was the Iowa game a fail? Yes. Was the season a fail? No. Success.
So I think if you break it down in terms of, listen, it can still be a good year. You list all those accomplishments. Those are great accomplishments to look at across the board. What happens, though, is when you're not a championship program, when you make runs in the tournament and do that kind of stuff, it can be looked at as a success. But when Todd Golden wins the national championship and then returns the most of his production and his entire front court into a second season, you have to go farther than the second round. What happens is you get the final number one seed. You have that incredible season, but at the end of the day, you didn't live up to championship expectations. And once you're a championship caliber program, championships are the only thing that matter.
Listen, Tubbs, I think you hit it right there on the nail. Sorry, Caroline. But I will say head coach Todd Golden is a pretty big factor to the success for the Florida Gators, despite not only his accolades and his experience, but he truly has developed these players time and time again. And it sought him out to be a coach, or made him a sought-out coach. Earlier this week, he had been speculation that Todd will actually be considered for the UNC head coaching position. But now those odds have completely shifted, and Billy Donovan and Tommy Lloyd are the favor. But do you think that Golden is definitely here to stay for Florida, or could there just be potentially another path for him to leave the program?
No, I don't see a world where Todd Golden leaves the program, the Florida Gators. He built it back up after Billy Donovan established this as a national championship caliber team. Real quickly, though, like NIL, is it the best? No, it's still competitive, though, across the board. He won a championship last year. You know he can win here, right? So it's looking at it in that sense, it's like, why would he leave? I know it's the Blue Bloods, but he has everything he needs here. I don't get why he would.
You know, that's a good point, Tubbs. I don't think Todd Golden would ever leave here. However, I think Florida fans and Scott Strickland need to be ready with Todd Golden's name being in the conversations for when these Blue Blood coaches leave, because Todd Golden has made such a name for yourself. Like you said, again, being able to transform the team from last year to this year, winning a championship in his fourth season. Like, he has been an incredible coach here at Florida, but I think you're right, Tubbs. I think he stays here.
Well, Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland made it very clear where Florida stands with Golden. He said, "We've given Todd new contracts each of the last 2 years. He's a priority for the University of Florida, and we're going to treat him as such. I wish all these programs really good luck. I'm sure they'll find a good coach out there, and I'm glad Todd's going to be here for a long time."
Listen, that sounds almost like a challenge to me for some of these other programs to try and steal them. And listen, from an outside perspective, it sounds good. From an athletic director, that's a bold statement to challenge one of the top programs in the country to steal your coach.
It's so bold, but it shows that Scott Strickland is confident in his coach, and that Todd Golden, he wants to keep him here.
Yep, we'll have to see if Golden stays. But we're about to take another quick break, but don't you worry. When we get back, we'll continue the conversation of what the future holds for Florida's program. Gator Madness, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Gators Madness. I'm your host, Haley Hurst, and joining me today are Caroline King and Michael Tubbs. Guys, it's our last segment of the show. Vibes are still up. How are we feeling?
Feeling great. I'm feeling awesome. Excited for this last segment. What about you, Tubbs?
I'm feeling real good until I start thinking about what the future of Gator basketball might hold.
Well, before we dive into that unknown future, we are going to get a little inside look at the official student group for Florida Athletics. Our very own Haley Balgobin has more on the Rowdy Reptiles.
The Gators men's basketball team utilizes a sixth player at every home game, and it's you. I talked to one fan who said even when the team loses, the Gator Nation will never back down.
Good pass.
The dunks, the rebounds, the three-point shots. But nothing quite compares to the home court advantage.
It's such a fun experience to be a student and have something to rally behind.
The Rowdy Reptiles are just another player on the team.
A fan base of 10,000 people that are there to watch you play, and they're gonna get rowdy regardless. It's a lot easier to play in an environment like that, and much tougher to play against it.
President of the Rowdy Reptiles.
Hey, they're in zone,
Tristan Bucco is on a mission.
We oversee the student section to make sure everyone's gonna be the rowdiest they can be, knowing our traditions and following our chants.
His favorite tradition, the dirt sheets.
Their exes or their mom's names, or sometimes they have some embarrassing pictures of them, like Denzel on the toilet, like just things that you can use as fuel for the players and also for the fans.
At the game against Alabama, Bucco's dirt sheet chant went viral.
We're here to be rowdy, we're going to be annoying, and that's our job.
Bucco is graduating soon.
If I come back, I definitely want to see, some tents out here, people lining the streets, excited to see the game.
But even though the Gators will not advance to the national championship this year, he still expects
I would love to see in the future
the fan base he helped build,
no matter how good or how bad our team may be,
to cheer.
We still believe in the program
all the way,
and we're going to show up and support them
to the end,
no matter what.
And I won't back down.
Bucco said fans have completely filled out the student section at every home game since the first win against Tennessee last season. But if you want to see your boys back in action, you're going to have to wait till next season. Reporting at the Stephen O'Connell Center, Haley Balgobin for Gator Madness.
Thank you, Haley. Well, we all know clearly the Rowdy Reptiles will be back at the O-Dome for next season, but what about those Florida Gators? There are 5 key contributors who are potentially departing from the team, including Ruben Chinyulu, Alex Condon, and Thomas Houck, who are all projected for the NBA draft, and seniors Micah Hanlockton and Xavier Lee. This has caused lots of gaps to be filled, so what does the future hold for Florida? Caroline?
Well, Haley, I want to focus on those 3 frontcourt players, Chinyulu, Condon, and Houck. Yes, Houck is a lottery pick right now, but he loves the Gators so much. I mean, we remember he had a lunchbox, a Gators lunchbox, when he was in elementary school. But talked to Carlin Hartman the other week, and he said that when Thomas Houck came into UF, he had all the skills, he just needed the reps. So does he have all the reps? Is it time to go to the league? Probably. However, I'm focusing on Condon and Chinyulu. Condon, his three-point percentage really went down this year. If he stays here over the summer, really increases that part of his game. And Chinyulu, he wants to be a dentist. You cannot be a dentist without a degree. So I'm being optimistic about these guys coming back, but there's still going to be a lot of gaps. What are you, Tubbs?
Yeah, we're not sure what's happening with the bigs quite yet, but we do have some news on some guards. We've got Boogie Fland and Urban Klavzar both returning, along with Isaiah and A.J. Brown. But as far as these two go, Boogie Fland, staple starter, right? That's a big addition to have a guy that has with that experience and a defensive staple to this team. Urban Klavzar, I'd argue, had more development than anybody else on the team. Defensively, being able to hold his own, becoming one of the most lethal shooters across the country. I don't know if he'll find a starting role in this group next year, but it's a step in the right direction. I will say this, though, you still need to go out into the portal and find a legitimate lethal scorer that has the ability to put the game on his back, because no one who's returning is going to have that ability.
You're exactly right, Tubbs. They need someone like Xavier Lee who's a facilitator, able to get those bigs and those other guards the ball, being able to set up Urban and Boogie for those shots. And I have a prediction next year, Boogie Fland, he's going to be on that all-SEC defensive team. He's ready for that. He's going to really step it up defensively next year.
All right, we'll have to see. But, well, the Gator season might be over, but the tournament is still going on. So my question for you guys is, who do you got winning the national championship?
I'm looking back to week 1 of the Gators season. Arizona has been a beast. I've got to go with them all the way. Across the board, from a team effort, from a coaching standpoint of Tommy Lloyd, they've been incredible. They've got the freshman in Cole Pete, but they have just been such a unit that no one in the country has been able to stop.
They were looking really scary in their Sweet 16 game. However, I'm rolling with Purdue. They fall every year in the tournament, but Braden Smith, this is his time. I think Purdue is going to make it this year, and I'm hoping it for them.
I might go with Carolina on this one. Sorry,
Haley.
Tubbs, but we'll see whose bracket wins. But as much as I enjoyed our time on the desk, guys, I hate to say it, but we are reaching the end of Gators March Madness. From all of us here at the desk, I'm Haley Hurst with Michael Tubbs and Caroline King. Thank you all for joining us all season long, and thank you to our production crew for all that you do behind the scenes. We'll see you next season on Gators Madness.